Greetings, peoples of the interwebs. Jake here, and tonight we'll be doing another debate. This time around, our combatants, Reverend Spaceman, Dave, and Jordan.
I'm waving.
He's waving. You can't see it, but
I won the last one, by the way.
he did.
Yeah.
I don't anticipate losing this one either.
Very, very cocky, but
well, there's a different judge tonight,
yeah,
so we'll have to see about that.
But again, this is
Doesn't
based.
matter.
This is based on argument.
okay.
So even if I like Dave's,
That's why you want to play.
even if I like Dave's choice better, if he doesn't, if Richard makes the best argument, he shall
You
win.
won't. But
But
Can't
anyway,
imagine why you'd think I'd be
If this was like a
this.
tournament, I guess we could come to the consensus. Richard is probably pre-ranked number one. Now, let's see if the pressure cracks.
Yeah.
I can already see some sweat coming, but
No,
let's see if he can actually handle it.
I took a nap and I'm a little greasy.
See if he
It's
can
not
handle his composure. I don't know if his composure can handle it.
I didn't take a nap, and I'll still win.
all right, strong words. But basically, this debate is you guys will be pitching your film for the next DC cinematic universe.
Expanded, whatever
DCCU.
they're calling it.
Whatever they're calling it these days.
DCYOU.
Yeah.
We're just pitching a future DC
Y2K.
movie, I guess.
All right. So who wants to
I
start
want to
us
see
off
the
here?
Y2K film in 2016. The Y2K. Anyway.
Okay, yeah, I guess you're starting because you just
Yeah,
were talking.
he was talking. So.
Okay, I'm changing it. Y2K now. Yeah. Anyway, I'm pitching a Red Hood and the Outlaws movie.
All right.
A little bit of a newer team, even though you're not supposed to call them a team. But yeah, I mean, all the characters are, have their history.
Yeah, they've been around for quite some time.
Bit
but
of a newer series when the new DC started their new 52. But I really don't see why it couldn't make a great movie, a great franchise. Really.
But I guess if you want to give
Nope.
people a bit of a brief synopsis of Red Hood and the Outlaws for those of you who may not be unfamiliar, as you should though, because it's an amazing series.
Okay, well, it joins together the Jason Todd, former Robin, Red Hood. You've got the Green Arrow's old sidekick, Arsenal, Red Hood, whatever you want to call him, Roy Harper.
Speedy.
I guess he's
Speedy.
he's Arsenal by the time
Yeah.
they meet up, and Starfire from Teen Titans, and
Who would have thought these three would team together?
yeah, it's an interesting.
Or the fact that it would even work.
Yeah,
but-
yeah, it's an interesting dynamic between them. Obviously, Jason's got all his stuff, being all his issues with Batman and whatnot. Which I guess in the New 52, he's kind of made peace. With
yeah, more or less.
More or less.
He's dramatic.
Roy
He's
Harper,
emo.
he's a genius, kind of underachiever. He's had drug problems. He's always been a sidekick.
Yeah.
So
Boo-hoo.
it's a lot of people who were never in the spotlight. Now
Yeah.
they're kind of getting their spotlight. They're all complex characters. Have got their issue. Starfire was a princess on her planet, enslaved, and they're all complex characters who have never really gotten the spotlight, and here they are. They've gotten their own series.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that for now. And let
Okay.
everybody else have their opening statements.
Well, my choice is Nightwing. I think that speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Especially with our lovely, awesome Amino viewers. Everyone loves a little bit of Nightwing. If you don't know, it used to be Dick Grayson, Robin. He's kind of taken over. This is
How original.
This is his main gig now, and I feel there's a lot of great story arcs, especially from the 90s, that you could go to. It doesn't necessarily have to be an origin story, too, which we get tired and drowned out of.
Yeah.
Dick Grayson's already an established character.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of characters you can put him with, or if you just want to do it by himself.
All right. I picked Space Ghost. I'm Reverend Spaceman, by the way.
So I guess
Hence the ghost.
Tonight I'm Reverend Space Ghost.
yeah. But
He's mostly famous these days for Space Ghost Coast to Coast, but he was a cartoon character in the 60s. When Warner Brothers bought out Hanna-Barbera and DC, he was incorporated into the DC lineup. He's teamed up with Batman in a cartoon. He's actually made a cameo appearance on the new, not that great Teen Titans show, and he had a mini-series in the 2000s, 6 issues. So he is a DC character. He's part of the DC universe.
Does he really fit in though?
Yeah.
well, I mean, now that you all
Shots
before we get into the whole shots fired debate, I guess I guess, bullet points on, like, the plot, director, and cast. And then you guys can poke holes in each other's movies. So, who wants to start us off?
Like this guy
Nope.
who actually
I'm
like
going
wrote
last.
and prepared stuff.
No, you go first. We gotta continue in the
It's
order
on
that
my
we were
head.
doing.
Do we? Okay. Anyway, plot. Well, I didn't really come up with like bullet points for a plot necessarily because it's just the series. They go from I think the first story arc is, they're dealing with more of like mystical kind of elements, a whole sort of in the world of the League of Assassins and that type of stuff, which Jason has a history in.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. Talia al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul's daughter, brought him back to life in Lazarus pits after he was murdered by the Joker. So, I mean, there's a plethora of, really Batman villains you can draw in. You could also go with the element of him fighting Batman because he's been very angry that Batman didn't save him.
Yeah. Or he's
But,
more avenge him.
Yeah, but, and they go from that to, they get...
Space, I think, in the second volume.
Somebody from Starfire's...
Past.
Race, they have some epic space battle, and they'll and they're sort of bounty hunters at some point. Actually fight Ra's al Ghul later on, and it's pretty versatile. You can put them in kind of anywhere. You probably wouldn't need too much of an origin story.
Yeah,
because I think besides Starfire, you've had these characters sort of established.
Yeah.
Either in the TV universe or in the cinematic universe, and if the theory is correct that Jared Leto's Joker is actually Jason Todd, you could almost just throw him into this.
Yeah.
It could be pretty soon in the lineup of the current DC expanding universe. Not that whoever wins tonight isn't getting their own development deal with Warner Brothers and DC, but
Thought that was already confirmed.
yeah, did we not say that at the top?
Oh, sorry.
But the plot wise, I don't think you have to think too hard to come up with something.
Yeah, I think it has enough versatility to where
it can be whatever they need it to be.
Yeah.
It could be their answer to Guardians of the Galaxy at one point. It could be a bit more fun, but it could get really dark too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of versatility there. Is basically what I'm getting at.
okay.
Cast and director.
Cast and director George Miller. If you guys have seen the latest Mad Max installment, Fury Road,
Fantastic, by the way.
awesome movie.
Didn't see it.
Still haven't seen
Really good. And I
I was with you in the theater.
Oh, that movie?
Maybe you had your eyes closed, or
I was just enjoying the ride with my seat going up and back.
yeah. It was a new theater, so it was exciting.
Yeah,
I admit,
it was a good film.
The movie captivated me enough that I wasn't so
Yeah.
enthralled with my seat. But not that it wasn't
I have a
enthralled.
short attention span. What are we talking about again?
George Miller's your
Chairs.
director.
Yes, George Miller's my director. Yeah, he directed Happy Feet. Sure, that's
I guess that just
Whatever.
shows how
his
diverse he
it
is.
shows his versatility.
Yeah.
He's also been attached
He's
to
a
DC
sellout.
before.
Yeah.
Apparently, he was going to do a Justice League movie, but I think he's just
Why aren't you pitching that?
even further because there's already going to be a Justice
So?
League movie.
Do George Miller's version.
Let you cast.
Okay. Anyway, my cast. My cast for Jason Todd, Red Hood, has actually played him before in probably one of my favorite DC animated movies, Red Hood and the Outlaws. Jensen Ackles, who voiced Red Hood. I mean, you look at the guy. I think you.
Fun fact:
Looks like
apparently,
he fits.
Jason Todd is a natural ginger, but dyed his hair
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
to look more
Well,
like
he's
Dick
got.
Grayson.
Yeah, it was sort of. thought that Bruce kind of made him do that because he was. Still had some issues with Mr. Grayson leaving, and growing, leaving the nest and whatnot.
But I do like that, though.
I think you're gonna like my Roy Harper, Aaron Paul.
Yes.
He's a very similar character. I noticed that Roy Harper is a very similar character to Jesse Pinkman, and who doesn't want to see some incarnation of that again? Besides Aaron Paul just being a great actor, in general, I think he'd have. The more and more I thought about it, I was like, I could really see that Aaron Paul as Roy Harper. He's the brilliant underachiever. In both of those worlds, Breaking Bad, and
I think has the right sense of humor to where he could.
he can do the serious stuff. He can do the comedy.
Yeah.
Watch BoJack Horseman.
Yeah.
But also the more comedic moments in Breaking Bad as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, Starfire, Alison Brie from I think she kind of proved she can do the more serious stuff in like Mad Men, she's on Community, and great in the Lego Movie, which I think kind of cemented it for me because she can go from sort of the more innocent, kind of dumb seeming to just the hardcore warrior, insane thing.
Yeah, because that's kind of the appeal to Starfire is how
Yeah,
innocent,
can kinda
naive
turn
she
a
is,
dime,
but then
she's
next minute
insanely powerful.
Yeah, she's just like incinerating people.
She's an easy lay.
Yes, actually, they
You know.
both Jason and Arsenal have at her
Yeah.
pretty early on in the
Dick.
series.
She gets dick
Which can you blame?
Yeah.
from Dick.
From the Teen Titans.
Yeah.
A little bit of, I guess that's a good segue.
Yeah.
Old
Nightwing.
Dick Grayson. Nightwing. Starting out with Nightwing, I wanted to focus on some of the earlier storylines from the 90s. The Bloodhaven.
Bloodhaven.
You read that, didn't you?
What was it?
He's pointing to Dave, by the way.
Yes, Dave. Anyway, I think it was
like
I believe it was the
From the
first.
90s? Or?
Yeah, the first one. Blue costume. Of course, he's got to go blue costume.
Yeah. It's the best.
Yeah.
The red's okay.
Well,
which is the
are
new
you talking
52.
about the original Nightwing costume? Or
Just more
Please
of the,
be talking about
the
the
modern?
original.
Yeah.
The upturned, collar.
of course.
Because funny thing, Nightwing was actually like a Kryptonian legend. Fun fact there. So,
But yeah, I'd probably follow
goes into
along that.
Superman.
Not a specific plot line, really. You could kind of work with any of those.
Yeah.
You necessarily wouldn't need an origin story. Maybe just short little thing. You don't need to make it 2/3 like Fantastic Four. But
Especially with the DC universe, we do know that there has been an established Robin, presumably from the trailer of Batman Superman. So
yeah.
both of your movies would just easily fit in here without having to again spend half the movie.
With the Bloodhaven thing, there's a series of murders going on by Gotham City villain Black Mask, and I would focus on that particular story the most.
not to help you out, but like that'd be a cool villain to bring in.
Yeah, I mean
Bit of an obscure,
that's kind of why.
or I
want
guess
him to,
lesser known
want
of
him to come
Batman's
in.
rogue gallery.
I think that's why I want him to be involved. Just, I think among Batman people that follow it, would love to see it too.
You got nothing on me when it comes to obscure characters.
Just
saying.
Yeah, I kind of figured that, but
So casting,
obscure for
director,
director, I would still follow the what the Dark Knight did. So I would just bring in Chris Nolan back.
Okay.
'Cause I think he might kind of miss Batman doing Batman stuff.
But he was
so
kind of setting it up, sort of for Robin with.
Well, that's the
Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
predicament I came
So are
to.
you
While
casting Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
yeah, I guess what I'm thinking
Real confident.
when
in that
doing
decision.
when going there, I would like him to be the Robin or Nightwing, but.
Yeah.
If we're starting early, which I wouldn't necessarily want to, if
It's
we're
not
doing
going to work
origins,
though because he's already developing Sandman right now, so it'd be a conflict of interest.
okay, whatever.
But they're
The
both
argument's
DC.
done.
But I
Yeah.
also wouldn't mind
They're
doing
both
some
DC.
unknowns. I would like to do some unknowns if we were
Okay.
going like younger. Dylan O'Brien, the Maze Runner kid, I think would be okay choice.
That movie came out today.
Did it?
As of that's not what I saw, but
I heard it's adequate.
I don't really care. But I know that guy from Game of Thrones.
I think he's getting kind of bigger. He's still. He's
on
right.
the short list for
yeah.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
around Nightwing's age when Dick becomes Nightwing.
Yeah.
Late teens. So if we're going origin route, I would pick him. But I think I'm going to stick with Joseph
Okay.
for my Nightwing.
Also, quick question with Dick Grayson: would you mention anything with like the Teen Titans, or would it be like one of those things where he just
Because that
right
show
after,
is in development too.
Yeah, I would.
like right after Robin, he became
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what it would be. It wouldn't touch base with any of that other stuff.
Okay.
So
All right, now on to Space Ghost. And
All right.
he came
Chris
really prepared.
Nolan and Joseph
I
Gordon.
will give him a lot of props for your
We had
preparation.
to make
So,
up for last time.
Desperate act of a desperate
No plot
man.
to
Really like Space
5
Ghost.
pages of plot.
Alright. In the year 2525, Earth has entered a self-imposed isolation, not unlike Krypton in its final days, choosing not to explore beyond their own solar system. Thaddeus Tad Ghostal, played by Jason Bateman, talk show host and loving husband, is injured by an on-set accident during his show, Coast to Coast with Ghostal. shown live from the Earth Orbit Studio satellite. During the ensuing chaos of the accident, he goes missing, wakes up on a barren planet, having been left there for dead, not known by who, but finds himself in the company of the planet's lone survivor, Moltar, played by Ron Perlman. Weapons manufacturer whose technology ruined the planet centuries ago, pushing it to the outer parts of the Earth's solar system. It was originally closer in orbit, which is why he's a lot like a lava man. That's what Moltar is. And he's modified himself, made himself immortal, but the rest of his species died in the cold. So he wears a suit to keep his body warm.
So like anti-Mr. Freeze.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, so Moltar saves Tad's life, gives him an artificial heart that pumps his blood fluidly instead of in pumping motions. It's a constant stream, so Tad has no pulse. He's almost dead. He's like a ghost.
Dun dun dun.
A little on the nose, don't you think?
Let him finish, and then you can start attacking him.
So after hearing the story, Moltar provides Tad with weapons and a ship. Though Moltar chooses to remain self-exiled on his ghost planet, Tad discovers that his planet was on the far solar system, returns to Earth to face the one responsible for the accident and his near death, his brother, Chad Ghostal, played by Mel Gibson.
Okay. Went a little out there, but alright. You've got my attention. You've really got my attention now.
Jordan just quit.
I haven't given up yet.
Alright. Tad returns to Earth orbit only to discover that Chad had his pregnant wife murdered by the drug lord Snowflame.
I got dark really fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, Snowflame is...
I couldn't stay away. This is hard. This is great.
Snowflame is actually a villain from a very, very obscure, kind of stupid team called the New Guardians.
I've heard of them.
But here's how Snowflame's played by Nick Cage, by the way. He's played by Nick Cage, and here's how he introduces himself. I am Snowflame. Every cell of my being burns with white-hot ecstasy. Cocaine is my god, and I am the human instrument of its will.
Alright.
Sure that's not just Nick Cage introducing himself?
That's why he's so
I
great.
thought that was his line at all his parties he goes
This is
to.
actually directly like how Snowflame introduces himself, so...
Oh, okay.
Did you shadow him one day? And just...
That's why I knew he was perfect for the role.
Okay.
So, Snowflame, the drug lord, has been funding Chad's worldwide campaign of domination, believing that because in this future Superman is dead, other aliens will want to attack Earth, and Chad's belief is that the only way the Earth can be safe is for all of humanity to be a united army. So, Tad fights Snowflame on the moon.
Naturally.
Of course. Tad's new weapon suit allowing him to breathe in space, with Snowflame allowed the same ability from consuming 5 pounds of cocaine.
God.
Snowflame will initially overpower Tad and say, "You're dead already. You're just your brother's ghost. Snowflame will send you back to the space hell where you belong." However, Tad gets the upper hand and finally kills Snowflame, his body being sent out into the void of space. However, Chad is still out there, and Tad finds him in the ruins of the Coast to Coast with Ghostal set, still orbiting the Earth, but presumed abandoned after the accident. Tad takes the stage, prepared to finally put an end to his brother's growing reign of terror. Greetings, I'm Space Ghost.
Terrible.
So bad had to leave.
Director's gonna be Edgar Wright. Because I'm kind of...
What a...
Despite how grimdark I made that pitch sound, I do want it to be...
Didn't he work for the FBI?
Probably.
J. Edgar Hoover. Sorry.
I want it to be kind of like a lighthearted-ish, goes into dark territory type thing, but really pays homage to the more ridiculous and fun era of comics. Space adventure, like I said. Alright.
Okay.
Well, we know DC's never going to do that, so...
It's based on the argument.
I think at least
I'm not
mine
done.
and Jordan's...
I've got more.
Could actually happen.
It's also going to have a brand new version of the Space Ghost Coast to Coast theme, composed and performed by They Might Be Giants. I've also cast Jonah Hill as the voice of Brack, and C. Martin Kirk will return for the voice of Zorak.
Okay. So, I leave it to you gentlemen. Try not to shut her out.
Well, as Dave said,
'cause
that's never going to happen.
First off, I
These
will
stories
say,
could happen. Like, it's in the realm of
I
possibility.
mean, mine has the best chance of happening by far.
I will say this though. Yes, I would. Year 2's yes has more likelihood of becoming a movie like in the DC universe. That, however, does sound like a fantastic movie in so many different ways.
Not really. I mean, he's got Jason Bateman. That's about the most positive thing I can say. And Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
It's about the most positive thing I can say about it. Everything else
Ron
is a
Perlman's not
mess.
Deathstroke. Do you really want to see it?
No. Well, you got a good point, but I've enjoyed him in other things as well. But
Cool.
Let's keep this going. Let's keep
Yeah,
going.
my movie would work best because Dark Knight, such a fantastic,
that's
popular
ended.
trilogy.
It's ended though.
And that would
People
feel
demand everything.
Mine could
Everything
actually
comes
fit
back.
in within like
Space
They're
the
Ghost
making
is-
Star Wars Episode 7. Everything comes back,
Space
bro.
Ghost is
next
due
couple
for
of
a
years.
for a
Batman has
comeback.
come back, just a different iteration.
Yeah, but
mine could fit into
People
this
love the Christopher
iteration,
Nolan
this
one the
current-
best.
My movie could be made in the next 2-3 years,
Well, good.
and it would
Okay.
make
For you.
it would make sense. Yours is a little late.
Okay, so I guess
We're
one
not
thing
saying it has to be made tomorrow.
like
Yeah, mine is
Well, no, but I think
Mine's-
that's a point in mine's favor.
mine is
Favor?
something. Mine is two things DC needs: one, a good, solid standalone, and two, some lighthearted fun, which they are desperately going
Did
to
you see Green Lantern?
let's not get into that again.
No.
Okay, so I guess
Did you see Catwoman, Halle Berry? That was fun.
And that's standalone. They didn't make another one.
Yeah.
okay, so I guess Red Hood and the
Meow.
Outlaws. Where I guess does this because obviously this is gonna take place like after Batman Superman. That's like will it mention or reference any of the events that take place in like the current the films that will take place, or is it gonna be very much like just their own thing, very isolated?
I think it exists in that world, so it can't not
Yeah.
be somewhat affected. But I think much like Guardians of the Galaxy, it's in the world, but it's its own thing, really.
Okay.
And I mean, with those characters that are so connected to Green Arrow and Batman, Green Arrow to a lesser extent, because I think arguably Arsenal stands on his own more than.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily. Maybe it's not the best way to put it, but stands kind of apart from
Yeah.
his mentor, I guess. Then, because the Red Hood costume, he has the bat symbol right in
Yeah.
his chest. But and then that's just always going to be a part of his story. But I think
Okay, and then I guess same thing with both of yours, but I guess Nightwing where I don't know how will your movie address some of the films that have taken place like Man of Steel, and then what we do know.
what we know about
Yeah.
everything that's on the slate right now.
I mean, it's still going to have to,
Mm-hmm.
address a few things, but I think it's going to be more of just kind of a standalone, let
Yeah.
Nightwing shine for once,
Yeah.
kind of get out of Batman's shadow, but still have a little bit of that dark and that tone because
Will that also be
Christopher
part
Nolan.
of the storyline is him trying to become
Yeah, I mean,
his own hero, and
definitely
not just-
because I don't want to dive too much into the origin, like I've said, but a lot of that's going to be that mental battle he fights from getting away from Batman's shadow, because there's not going to be a whole lot of. You're not going to see Batman,
Yeah.
and he's obviously going to have to be referenced because he's trying to get away from that shadow. That's also going to be that mental battle he has to face, and he's always thinking about. It's always in the back of his mind,
Okay.
He's,
But is that mental
It's
battle
active.
as compelling as the mental battle that Jason Todd has to go through? And the
no,
mental
because he's a
battle-
whiny emo kid.
I object, but keep going, keep the debate going.
And I mean, not only
like I'm
not
just
only do I
waiting.
have one extremely complex character,
You guys are
I
just
have
ignoring me
three.
because you can't even tear mine down.
we're getting there. There's plenty of
We're just
holes.
building up. We're building up to,
I mean, I've
to
got
gang up
I've got
on
to take
you.
you both down.
Yeah.
So
Yours just
Just gotta
yours
pace
sounds like it
yourself.
would be too similar in tone to Suicide Squad to me, honestly. I mean, would it really differentiate itself enough to justify it being its own movie? And not just
I mean, I'm sure
think
Will
it's
Smith
the
would be
well,
in Red Hood.
From
as
what we've
well.
seen of Suicide Squad, I'm sure he would. Would he do a good job? No, but
But he'll still be in there.
I'm sure he would do it. But I don't think Suicide Squad even differentiates its own characters enough to be its own thing. At least from what we've seen so far. because that photo I can't tell any of them apart. For
It's
one,
just
it's
angry,
not.
it's just angry teenagers
not a
mad at the
mess.
world that just dress up in costumes.
It's not a mess of characters you can't even tell. Red Hood, Arsenal, and Starfire, very unique looking characters. You're gonna
Sidekick, Starfire.
Yeah, but they're getting they're getting their moment to shine.
I guess another thing with Red Hood and the Outlaws, will there be like cameos from like say Batman or Green Arrow like in the comics, or will it be just like they mention them and it's more just their
The first one,
Stuntman riding on a car.
The first one, no.
Okay.
And maybe as you get further in the franchise, different stories, maybe
Okay.
But I think at least the first one should pretty much stand alone. I mean, obviously you'll have to mention it.
Yeah.
You might see Batman or even Ra's al Ghul or something in a flashback.
Yeah.
But
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
I don't know why you would see him. He's already playing. I don't know why Sandman would be in that movie.
No, Nightwing. Good old Nightwing.
No, I think if
Dickie
I was
G. You're not down with the Dickie G? I've heard you're down with the Dick.
Don't get me wrong, I love Dick.
Yeah, well, that's something we all know. New
But-
viewers and old viewers know all
But
about
I
your
think,
Dick love.
Dick
Appreciation.
Thank
yeah,
you.
I mean, I'm not
Man
going
crush
to
on
argue.
Jason Todd.
I'm not going to argue that he's a great character. However, I think Jason Todd is better. He's more complex, and
Well, and
he's
you
just-
love emo kids, so it makes sense for you. It's not going to work out, but it makes sense for you.
I'm not talking about Penguin or Dent, just him.
He's got to cover himself up because all the marks.
He
Wears
wears
razor
armor.
marks at
He doesn't
night.
have.
He wears some really cool camo jeans.
No, that's not the new costume is not what we're going with.
I'm going.
Oh,
The
well, if
original
it was the
New
new costume,
52.
I would just already give up and let you win.
I wouldn't even be fighting this if it was the new costume, but
That
the
is
new
true.
52 costume, not this new DC,
I do like the new 52.
YOU, whatever.
Y2K.
Well, where it originated. This
That-
team originated, not
They
the
do kind of like
characters, but-
Red Hood's outfit is kind of like a casual Batman.
Yeah, more or less. He's got the
Filthy
jacket,
casual.
he's got the helmet.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite iteration of the costume because I like the. I also kind of like the one he wore in Grant Morrison's Batman and Robin when Dick was Batman for a brief period with Batman's son as Robin. I kind of like that costume too, but I think I'd say the one in the New 52 is probably my favorite iteration of that costume because of course the Red Hoods have their own history within Joker's origin and whatever, but it's usually kind of a very odd looking.
Would your film like
giant
touch on that, or would
dome.
it just be?
I don't know. I don't think it really need not too much. I don't know if the whole Red Hood part of it is
Integral to the.
I wouldn't say it's integral. It's interesting. You could kind of go that way. I don't know that it needs to take up that much time.
Okay.
So
What do you have to say for yourself, Space Ghost, before we attack you?
Yeah, like yours is like. I guess yours
It's
kind of has the benefit of
unique.
because you did say it takes place in 2025, so
25.
20
like
or,
that,
yeah,
like
25,
that song.
25. So
12.
yours
25.
really won't have to address anything.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll say is that like Superman and like the Justice League is defunct at this point in the future, but mine also gives us a good opportunity to lead into the Legion of Superheroes. And with mine being a lot more standalone, obviously, because we don't need more Bat Family movies. But anyways, with mine
Are
being
little kids going to enjoy this? I think they're going to be confused the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, why
What
is
is
Nicolas
this
Cage
superhero-
angry? Was
Is it-
Mel
What do you mean,
Gibson?
why
I
is
thought Mel Gibson was dead.
Although
Like,
I will say
14-year-old
this,
kids
Who's
saying
that
as,
racist? You're gonna no Jew is gonna
Wait,
go
wasn't
see
he
that movie.
Jesus?
as
How is
a
it
You
geek,
can't alienate Mel Gibson just by having him in the movie. No Jewish people are going to see that movie whatsoever.
2 words, bat cells.
okay.
I will say this though, as a kid, I did think Space Ghost was like Space Batman,
Yeah, I mean,
All
just
comes
like in
full
looks,
circle.
just in looks.
everyone did, but they'll,
So basically, why do you want Space Batman? When you,
What do you mean? Why do you want Space Batman? Is that a sentence anyone would ever say?
I just said it.
Drop
Okay,
the mic.
All right, with
It's
mine.
cheap.
The costume
Wanting a
can-
Space Batman suggests that
Okay, just
the regular the
aside from-
Batman we already have isn't good enough. That's just not true.
aside from his look, he's really not Space Batman. He's got the
Because
power.
who would want that? You've lost already. Give up.
Go home.
His look-
Go home.
Let him argue his coast. Let him argue. Let him argue.
All right, the costume can be designed to differentiate a little bit from Batman while still keeping true to the space ghost look.
Mm-hmm.
It being standalone is a really good thing for Edgar Wright because that's the reason he left Ant-Man. A lot of the reasons because they were just wanting to shove a bunch of Avengers stuff in there and he wouldn't have it. So giving him a chance to really just go full force in his own movie in the DC universe that doesn't have to tie into anything directly at first.
And I will give you this: he's probably the best director to take on an odd concept.
Scott Pilgrim.
I was gonna say Scott Pilgrim.
He's handled Scott Pilgrim. He did Shaun of the Dead. Does Hot Fuzz. This is the end. What was it called?
World's End.
World's End. Yeah.
The Cornetto trilogy.
Yeah. I can't really think of a better director for this kind of story. He's done space stuff before.
Yeah.
Why do we need more then? He's done space.
We need a DC movie in
So
space
you're
that's
just
good.
saying it's all like it would be really redundant.
I just
for him.
I just
We'd just be kind of
kids are gonna be confused watching this.
No, they're not.
Even
amalgamation
even
of
slower adults
redundancies.
like me are gonna be confused watching this. I can't keep up with
You admit
this.
you're
You know.
slow. Why would we take an idea from a slow person?
I mean, you know.
In trying to
I got
take
some
me
help.
down, you just
I
take
got
each other
some
down
help.
and I
hold
rise
on.
above it.
I'm the pretty
So I
face
guess-
that speaks
okay.
for
I have to
my
take
brain.
everyone down.
Order. Okay. How would people be confused? Elaborate that for the.
Did you listen to that?
I did.
Did you listen to his
First of all,
plot?
what kid even
no more
what
confusing than
target
Man of Steel.
audience for these films is even really going to know who Space Ghost is?
Do they need to know who Space Ghost is? No one knew who Guardians of the Galaxy were before the
Good
movie
point.
came out.
Yes, but that's
No one
because,
who Ant-Man
that's because
was.
it had the Marvel label on it. The Marvel label carries a lot of weight nowadays. DC,
As much as this
they've had
circle
some
may not
more-
want more Batman films, everyone else out there does.
Let's just say like for all your
Bat family.
all your film's sake.
yeah, non-comic
this is
people-
later on, like after, I guess, Justice League Part 1 and 2.
Oh, yeah,
DC's doing well.
Mine is DC Phase 2.
Okay.
Definitely.
So this is like DC Phase 2. They've done well.
DC even have phases?
Presumably, but let's just say
More or
like
less.
I'm talking
this.
about the right now. They don't, Green Lantern.
Hypothetically,
Yeah, we're just saying like
they're-
for the sake of.
Even Superman Returns is still kind of in the collective
Not really.
consciousness. Kind of.
not really.
Kind of. And there was a lot of people who I disagree, but that didn't even really like Man of Steel.
It's
So they're
evenly divided, though.
DC doesn't have.
And the reason
Well,
they
that
didn't
still
like,
goes to my point that DC doesn't have the kind of guarantee that you kind of get with a Marvel movie.
But the reason people didn't like Man of Steel was because they thought it was too dark and too brooding, too depressing, and that's what my movie will
For a
remedy.
Superman story.
But Batman
This
and
isn't a
Nightwing, on the
Superman
other
story.
hand,
No.
That is a
that's,
good point.
But
That's what you want. You don't want fun and,
Red Hood can be
hey,
a
I'm
bit
going to go
more
on a
fun.
date with Oracle and we'll eat pizza afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, there's a black mask. I gotta go.
I'd see that movie, I'll be honest. The one
And
you,
Red
that you
Hood
just described.
doesn't
But
have
That's,
to be-
that's the animated
It doesn't
version.
have to be so dark because a lot of the thing in the comics too is it's not about them just wallowing in their past.
No.
Yeah.
It's about them coming into their own
And
and kind of
literally
getting past their past.
and literally facing their demons.
yeah.
Which
Or their black masks.
or their black masks.
or their evil brothers.
evil brothers. Oh, does Space Ghost have an evil brother in the show or comics?
In Space Ghost Coast to Coast, he did have a twin brother, Chad Ghostal. I'm taking the twin part out for Mel Gibson's sake. And actually, there was another
He
cartoon.
doesn't like twins either.
There was another sequel Space Ghost series where he actually had an evil twin called the Space Spectre. It was basically the same costume, just colors inverted. For the purposes of this, I've renamed it as Cosmic Spectre, but that'll be Chad
It's
Ghostal.
a Cosby Spectre.
Cosmic.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you see a
That's
space
getting into
ghost.
some rough territory. I don't think anybody wants to see this Bill Cosby space movie.
As long as he's making a
that's-
sandwich.
It's sexist. It's racist.
Okay, so let's try and get this.
I like the fact that you have no real argument against it, so you just have to base it
That
on
is-
something we misheard.
That is a real argument.
I'll throw a
I
character
didn't
that would
mishear Mel Gibson.
a character that would be in my film that fans have been wanting to see is Oracle.
Played
Okay.
Barbara Gordon.
Played by.
Barbara Gordon, I just said. There's a lady named Barbara Gordon.
Played by.
I'm sure there is somewhere.
Alicia Silverstone.
You
I'm
may have
I'm
All right,
kidding.
you screwed yourself.
Let's not Natalie Portman.
And no, she's Jane Foster. She's Lady Thor.
I think we're just gonna sit here
I'm
until you
winning.
come up with somebody.
Okay.
For Barbara
No,
Gordon.
we can come back to it.
I'll
So I
sit here
guess
all day.
that's like I'll start with you and just more points trying to knock these two out.
Good luck.
That I haven't said already. I feel like I've
Well, it's just like I don't know,
This is
reiterate or
bat
just
on
more
bat.
things
Bat
like
love, man.
why would you not want to see a Nightwing movie and not want to see Space Ghost?
Yes,
movie?
why would you not want to see a Space Ghost movie?
I
might not
don't
be-
want to see the Space Coast movie that you're pitching.
Why?
I'll see another one.
I'll see another one because yours is racist and sexist.
And it's got Cosby.
I don't. It's got Cosby, and I don't really see it.
And I don't want to lose viewers
see it as
because we're
realistic.
supporting Cosby. He's endorsing Cosby.
I don't.
None of the things you've said are true.
I see a Nightwing movie as pretty realistic, not your version of it. Because I mean, like I said, the Christopher Nolan trilogy stands alone, and that's why it was so good. There's really no need for it to continue, and in 2015, 2016, 17, 18, the current...
It's not necessarily a continuation. It's
But it'll feel-
If
there
it has
hasn't
the same
been a night.
actor,
It will feel too close to it for my
yeah,
taste.
it's an
really,
argument.
and it, yeah,
kinda
it kind of
think-
negates...
I kind of think Nolan should
Other
be done with
things going
superheroes for a
on
while.
and-
Honestly,
It would just be confusing.
Not in DC's eyes.
yeah, but
It's a fair point.
It
I
moved
kinda-
on to Zack Snyder now. Well,
I kind of think
For now.
Nolan should be phased out. Do his own thing. Interstellar 2.
You just
or
can't let
whatever.
go. You can't let go, bro.
They can't.
that's something he might be doing soon. I forget what it was.
But who wants to hear a bunch of whiny emo kids? Oh, boo-hoo, he didn't save me. Oh, let's cry about it. Let's become. I'm gonna become bad, but still kind of be good because I can't decide for myself.
Anakin Todd.
Definitely,
That's why I didn't pick Hayden Christensen.
I would actually see it if it was Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, he's actually
Just-
pretty good in stuff that's not Star Wars.
I would not see that movie if it was Christensen.
Jake Lloyd, all right, Jake Lloyd. Case closed.
But okay, just
go
like
home.
more reasons why you wouldn't see Red Hood and the Outlaws and Space Ghost.
Do we really need Red Hood right now?
It
What's
kinda
the reasoning
seems like
for
they're
it?
sort of getting into
If you're
that
upset
movie.
about more Batman stuff coming out, why would you even want to pitch Red Hood?
Another thing,
that wasn't part of my argument, but not wanting to see more Batman stuff, I think people do want to
Not,
see
oh
more
yeah,
Batman stuff.
yeah, but like you're
it's going to
saying
get
with
tired eventually.
yeah.
Not according to Zack Snyder.
Well, this film hasn't even come out yet. We think it will be good.
Zack-
Who knows?
He made Sucker Punch.
That was not a very good movie.
I
Fair.
didn't see it, so
Not very good.
There's
In my
no-
You
opinion.
can't take his word for everything.
well, I was just referencing that quote where he kind of bashes Ant-Man
Yeah.
and Marvel in general.
We would need an origin though with Red Hood, which you don't really want to go down that road, but we'd need one for if you're gonna put it on the big screen.
I don't think you'd have to take. I think it could be one of those things where, yeah, definitely in the first movie you're gonna have to take some time, but you don't have to really do it chronologically, which I think is a lot more boring. You can
Like,
kinda,
would you handle
you
the?
can do things kind of more in flashbacks.
Okay, yeah. So I was about to ask, like, would it be like one of those things where flashbacks, or would it kind of be just be like a quick little, like, at the very beginning of the film, it's like, I'm Jason Todd, blah blah blah. That's Starfire Arsenal. Here's their story, blah blah blah, and then you get straight to the
I don't know if it
action.
would be as direct as here's their story.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we would kind of have
think you
Jason
should.
narrating a bit, like in the comics.
Yeah.
Zach Morris is Red Hood then, if he's gonna be talking to the screen like this.
No,
I'd see that too, honestly.
Yeah.
there other
I'm helping you
Other
out now.
people
I
narrate
shouldn't be, but I'm
movies.
helping you out.
Leonardo DiCaprio narrated
And what?
in Wolf of
What
Wall
was it?
Street. That was a great movie.
That was a great movie.
So Leo's Red Hood now? You can't decide on.
That would be good too. But
He doesn't do
wouldn't you see
superheroes.
DiCaprio
Well, I think.
in a DC movie?
I guess like I do look kind of like that.
Martin
how he,
Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio, Red Hood.
I do kind of like
You know
that
it's
approach
going to be great.
where Jason would kind of be narrating, so it would add, I guess, a little bit different element to the superhero movies where you get his perspective on things.
And you could go as far as, if they get isolated or whatever, much like the comics, where you get more in his head, more of his personality, without even necessarily having to come out and say it.
Yeah.
Sort of being whiny to the other characters.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of get more inside of his head.
As to why he's so whiny.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it whiny. It's
Does
His
he
adding
whiny
more
nature,
complexity to the
crying
characters.
nature.
Does he kill his pregnant girlfriend.
No, he wouldn't in this film.
Because with Oracle being in your film, would she be like his kind of sidekick, like in the comics, where she's kind of like communicating?
That's how I envisioned it.
Okay, so like it wouldn't be like the romance thing between those two, like in the comics.
The uncut version.
Okay.
But then you'd have to get into like the Killing Joke stuff, and the Killing Joke is great, but it would just kind of, I think it'd bog down your movie more. Just have more like flashback stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because you'd already have to introduce Nightwing and used to be Robin and stuff.
I mean, people would kind of know, I guess,
I don't think people-
who Oracle would be.
I don't think a lot of like mainstream people know who Oracle is.
No, they know who Batgirl is, but
Yeah.
they don't know who
Yeah.
Oracle is, and yeah, you'd have to explain all that.
It wouldn't take too long.
Was she in a wheelchair?
But then that's
Got
another
hit
thing.
by a car.
Do you just want to gloss over
Like
the
someone else
Killing
I know.
Joke?
Because you have, yeah, I mean, you have to.
Well, I guess like
You have to address the wheelchair thing.
I guess like one thing
She's
is
a big Christopher Reeve fan.
So assume all of your films presumably would go like at least 3 movies.
Mine could be
Really
a one
don't see how
shot.
Space
Mine could be a
Ghost
one
would.
shot. That's
My
why I don't want
synopsis-
to dive so much in the origin, just in case
Okay.
it isn't.
Yeah, my synopsis was intended as the first movie, and really only like the first half of it.
Okay.
But I think from a studio perspective and the fan perspective,
Space Ghost
Are you
has
gonna
a...
Well, you
more-
expect 3 these days.
exactly, and I think mine has more potential for that.
But Space Ghost,
Because you
much like
much like the comics and their stories in various locations, each movie could kind of be its own genre in and of itself.
That's a good point.
So I think there's
but here's
My first movie would
mine
actually
has
be
more
more mystery.
potential.
Second, could follow that a little bit. I would bring even more action into it because I think the first film is going to be a little more detective, and then just kind of throw everything in the third and final film.
So what would, I guess like would be more like I guess at the top of your head like with the who I guess like who would be the villain or I guess vague plot lines of like films 2 and 3 for
I would probably just take a lot of ideas from the comic series after Bloodhaven.
Okay.
Just kind of go down that road.
Would you add any of the new 52 stuff or just like strictly more like the
As of
90s?
right now, probably not. There's some good storylines in the new 52. I just think the 90s run was a little deeper and just better. I enjoyed it reading more. You can, I mean, Kyle Higgins is a great writer who started it, but I don't know if some of his storylines would necessarily go over as well on the big screen. It's good for a comic and a graphic novel sense.
Also in like your sequels, would he cross over with Batman or any of the other Bat family or still more just
Maybe
him?
Bat Family a little bit. I'm kind of just going to keep Batman out of it.
Okay. I think that's
Maybe at the
kind of
post
hard to do
credit
with
scene.
Nightwing because that's
Not in all those storylines. I mean, you might get Batman references. Batman wants you to do this. Batman wants you to do that. He doesn't have to be on the screen.
yeah.
yes, they all kind of are. They all are interrelated.
They're all doing
Sort
their
of.
own thing. You know,
I don't think
you can
that's
maybe
necessarily a
hear
bad
him
thing.
over. You can
They have to interact.
hear him on his phone talking to him or something, but he doesn't have to show up.
Ben Affleck gonna make a phone cameo though?
Just because
No.
they're related doesn't mean Batman has to show up all of it.
And you can
time
know,
be there
like,
for every second of the
Depending
film.
on
But
when
you know they
those
will.
depending on when those films come out, you can already know what Red Hood's done in his storyline and what Batman's doing right now, and those can relate
And
in
it's
a
kind
way
of, and it's kind of cool to see
where you
how
don't have to
those-
come and
yeah.
hey, I just did this. If you didn't see the film,
yeah.
but hopefully you did, so we get more money.
Okay.
Because it's kind of cool when you always get a little reference to like, that's when that happened in
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
movie. And
you just pick up little things, little hints, and just they don't have to come in and repeat it or just be like, we're both working on the same case right now, and you know,
like
you
in,
don't
like
have
in
to throw
Daredevil,
that
where
in.
they make reference to, what happened in New York with
Yeah.
the
Mm-hmm.
Avengers, and
And a lot of
Sort of in that
a lot of
way.
Daredevil and Spider-Man crossover.
Yeah.
You know, same villain stuff like that too.
Okay, so Richard, try and knock these two out and prove to me and the viewers why Space Ghost needs to happen before Nightwing or Red Hood and the Outlaws.
Before you're eliminated.
This is your last ditch effort.
All right. Well, like I said, both of yours rely very heavily on previous movies establishing something to build off of. I think people are going to get a little bit tired of Batman type characters. I mean, probably not Batman himself, but yours sounds a little bit too similar to Suicide Squad for me. I know it's probably going to be a little bit more lighthearted and there's less characters, but a family of Batman-related characters who are kind of on the wrong side of the law, doing a thing. And then yours just sounds like another Nolan movie, which...
We haven't even had Dick Grayson yet in this new boom, you know. We got to redeem that just for Chris O'Donnell.
That is a good point.
That's a fair point. But
You're doing it for him?
No, but, I mean, that's the last time we've seen him on the live-action screen.
But even more so, I think superhero space movies need to be redeemed from Green Lantern.
That was a fine film. I don't know what you're talking about.
Ryan Reynolds, the greatest actor of our generation.
Even he hates that movie.
It's because he gets paid to say that.
Yeah.
Probably, but yeah, Green Lantern was a disaster.
I do too.
I think that genre of like superhero space adventure needs to come back. It needs to be redeemed.
But do you
Very
really?
Do we think of
do-
space when you say DCU and pitch
Do you
your
really
DC
care
movie?
about?
Think
Do
of
you really
space-
care about space unless like Chris Pratt's involved? I know I don't.
Jason
That's like
Bateman-
another thing.
Harrison
is,
Ford has to be involved.
And
for
at any
me,
point
so.
in your franchise, whether it's standalone or sequels, would you have like his two like teenage companions and their pet monkey, or would they just be completely omitted?
I feel like they
Not
could,
if Cosby's around.
Well,
Cosby's not in my movie.
I said Captain Cosby.
Mel Gibson deserves a chance to redeem himself, just like Robert Downey Jr. was getting with Iron
I
Man.
think he's already had a couple though.
Has he really? He's just kind
Edge of
of.
Darkness, that horrible beaver movie, Machete Kills.
But like people forgot about those. So
Exactly.
and they'll forget about this.
No,
Forget
I think
about
he
this.
needs a chance in the spotlight to redeem himself.
This
as a
isn't
villain.
an Iron Man. This is
No, it's not.
what
an
you're
Iron
describing
Man.
is not.
It is not an Iron Man movie.
It's not an
at all.
Iron Man redemption.
I think he's gonna be.
scenario.
They're gonna be taking these roles too seriously when people are laughing at them and not with
But that's
Yeah.
that's the joy of it. It's like a. It's like a.
But how does that make it an actually good film? It's fun to watch and
Let's-
enjoy, and do some
That's what
drunk
makes it
riff
good.
tracks
It's
with
fun.
it.
There
But
is a.
It's Edgar Wright. He knows how to do this.
There
kind
is
of thing.
something to.
He knows how to.
J. Edgar Hoover cannot make films. I don't know what you're talking about. He dressed up in women's clothes and tried to hunt down JFK's killer. He can't make a Space Ghost film.
Okay, that would be an interesting movie on its own. But Edgar Wright knows
I've
how
made
to do.
better pitches the whole time than what we're all pitching right here.
You really have, but except for mine, I put a lot of thought, effort into.
He really did. He came
Yeah.
really prepared.
And you still
Well, I had
come up
I had school and work, so
Edgar Wright knows
Yeah,
how
I
to
have
do.
a job. All right.
Edgar Wright
I have a
knows,
job and school, so I beat
let him
everyone.
finish. Let him finish.
Edgar Wright knows how to do ridiculous, fun action comedy movies that
What does
this
that
really
have to do
needs
with
to be.
anything?
That's the kind of movie I'm pitching.
Okay.
The kind of movie DC needs. The kind of movie it deserves.
Just the fact that you're making Batman references, I think, kind
For
of throws
justice.
it back
Okay, so we're going on about 50 minutes. So closing statements, Dave. Just to further solidify your choice being the best, or
yeah. Okay. Well, first of all,
Thanks everyone for coming out while I think of what to say.
yeah. Thank you for listening this long.
If you've made it,
Yeah, if you made it this long, clearly you're a big Red Hood and the Outlaws fan. I think
Or a big Space Ghost fan.
no. I think it satisfies
or love to hear my voice.
a lot of the needs out there that, and I think it's gonna make the studio happy. Fans want to see these characters. It satisfies the need of like somewhat more obscure but also somewhat familiar characters, so they're easier to get back in there. I think realistically, it fits in with what we kind of know is coming up in the DC expanding universe now. And I think they're just great, cool characters. So we haven't really gotten a mainstream spotlight on. They're complex and they're versatile.
okay. Jordan, closing statements
well,
as to why yours is the best.
thanks everyone for listening while I think. No, we're always going to want Bat Family stuff, and Nightwing's a character we haven't touched on, in over 15 years, while superhero films have had a boom, and while DC's trying to make, play catch up with Marvel. Nightwing's been such a popular character, whether it be TV and especially the comics, all his comic runs. He's done a lot of things. He's versatile, and it's something we need. Oracle would be introduced.
Yeah.
That another outcry for another character that needs to be on the big screen. Do both of those characters justice.
Yeah.
And if you got Chris Nolan back, that was something I haven't mentioned yet.
Mm-hmm.
My film's gonna make a ton of money compared to these other two films.
That is a good point.
It's gonna make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Just being Nightwing, a sort of return to Batman, not a total follow up, but you know, similar. It's gonna have that dark tone. Like I said, he's gonna be
But
fighting.
then doesn't it negate what else is going on? Because then that brings the Christian Bale Batman into the Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill.
Not just Batman in
universe.
general. It doesn't have to be Christian Bale.
Yeah, but if it's Chris Nolan and Joseph Gordon-Levitt
I mean,
from
yeah,
the
fans
Nolan
can
movies,
think about it, but
But the general audience is gonna
Yeah,
think, is this the Dark Knight?
because especially if you bring back Chris Nolan,
well,
yes,
if your
you're gonna
film
get
wasn't
a-
DC, it would make a great awkward teen film, and if yours wasn't DC, it'd make a good
You're harping way too
good
much
movie
on
on Sci-Fi
something
Channel.
that
It wouldn't
wouldn't
even
even
go to
be.
the theaters.
Yours is a directed VHS because they're not even going to spend the money to put it on DVD.
Yeah. Yours was make good. Put Miles Teller in it, probably as Jason Todd, probably
Not what I said.
Shailene Woodley, Emma Roberts. Throw all the Scream Queens in, and that would actually be good. But since it's DC and it's going to be emo, no one wants to see DC emo kids. So let's go.
Okay. Closing
Alright.
statements, Richard.
The thing
Reverend
about
Spaceman.
thank you, Reverend Space Ghost.
Reverend Space Ghost. Sorry.
Tonight.
Don't
Here's
encourage him.
here's the thing about both of your movies. They are both solid, safe choices for DC. And while that's great from a business standpoint, from a viewer standpoint, the point that these movies are hypothetically going to come out,
I mean, when I win, it is. You know,
Yeah.
I'm getting the development deal.
you're not winning, but when your movies come out,
Make sure of that.
the superhero crash will be like on the horizon if it hasn't happened already. Mine is a chance. Something DC hasn't been doing.
That will be forgotten.
No.
Yeah, and if
Mine
the
is
crash has
these-
already happened, they're going to be like, this is desperate.
Remember that Ghost movie they tried to make about space? That or wait, what was it called? No,
Yeah,
What would a
Look,
ghost
yeah,
be?
okay.
in
Green
space?
Lantern. It was
Let
Green
him-
Lantern.
You're going to get a lot of
Let's-
horror movie fans going in just being really disappointed.
Let him finish his closing statements.
This about ghosts in space. What? Why is Jason Bateman in spandex?
You don't want to see Jason Bateman in white spandex? It probably wouldn't
Yes.
be spandex. It'd be more like a realistic type.
I mean, duh.
But,
That's
yeah,
not gonna,
it's-
that's not gonna really draw people.
Yeah,
in.
I'm pitching that they do something that superhero movies are kind of getting afraid to do, and that's take a chance and do something different. That's not the status quo. That's a little out there, a little bit more delves into more of the ridiculous and crazy fun history that comic books have. That's why we need a Space Ghost movie, because all these other characters are great, but they're established in the modern day as being like this. And Space Ghost is just that versatile. He doesn't really have you could do anything with him because he's an unknown. No one's gonna
Yeah.
be mad if you change the backstory because it's
a good
not
point.
that solid anyways. So it's and Edgar Wright directing it, really just getting the chance to do whatever he wants. Is a movie I'd really love to see.
It just
You're
doesn't.
saying
It doesn't
that-
feel DC.
That's true, and you're saying that
But it is DC.
there's not
It
really
doesn't feel
It's an
it. I want
extension.
to. I want
for
to
anything
feel
Batman
DC
and
when I'm
for
watching
DC,
it.
there's a huge built-in fan base. There's a passionate love for these characters.
That's why my film
Basically
will
what
make the
you're
most
saying
money.
Is, with Space Ghost, nobody really cares about this character. They could.
That's exactly my point. They could. And while Space Ghost
That's a big question.
Space Ghost does have a small but very devoted fan base. There's still fan art of him being drawn to this.
One
day.
of them's in
And-
the room.
I can't deny
Yes.
that, but
And but that's the great thing about Space Ghost fans. Most of them know him from the talk show, and it doesn't. They're really not going to be mad if you change anything about the character. It's just
it says people just don't really care.
not really. It's just saying that he's versatile. Like Edgar Wright can really just go nuts with it. It's just giving this man a sandbox to do whatever he wants to.
Okay.
Isn't that also sort of scary from the studio perspective? Because
Edgar
it's
Wright.
like
Edgar Wright is a proven
People
director.
demanded Joseph
anybody
Gordon-Levitt
can
back
screw
for
up.
Robin.
anybody
Nightwing.
can make a bad movie.
Okay, I'm calling it. Okay, so probably arguably our best debate, I'd say.
Mine was better.
Okay, so first off, again,
Thanks for
I'm-
listening.
I'd very much like to see all these movies. Richard came incredibly prepared, and I was very, very skeptical. Even when I did see all your preparation, I was still like, But when you mentioned Edgar Wright, you kind of sold me
Really?
because Edgar Wright is phenomenal. And I do think if anyone could take on this bizarrely strange concept of this film that you have created, which could work, he's the only one that could do it. But I just don't see it working in the DC universe. Now, if it was its own thing, not a part of the DC universe,
well, that's why it's separated by like 200 years.
It's still...
You can still make reference to it, but like not enough that it's... It doesn't need to tie into... It could be like Guardians in that way, where it's its own thing.
That is a good point. It would be definitely something different, but in terms of like the DC universe, I don't see it happening. Now, if this was like a complete like just pitching original ideas, you probably would have won that one. And again, you were very close. I'm not saying like not like the Howard the Duck thing where it was just...
Does he still get a medal?
I'll give you points. I think I could give you a medal if I had one.
Medals.
You have metal.
And it really did...
Sitting right over there.
'Cause, I mean, and again, you did really make some really strong arguments. Like, Red Hood and the Outlaws would kind of have a similar feel to, like, Suicide Squad. Probably to your mainstream audience. Probably not so much your comic book fans.
I think it can definitely differentiate itself enough.
And then with these two, they are the more likely to happen. And I do really agree that we do need to have like a Nightwing movie, because he is a really cool character, and again, he became Batman in the comics, so obviously he could hold his own movie. And again, Red Hood and the Outlaws is one of my favorite New 52 titles. It does have a lot of versatility.
Another point, if I may. I don't disagree.
No, we're done.
I don't
with
disagree
that.
what you're saying about
Don't listen
Nightwing.
to this.
What is his version of Nightwing gonna work?
And that's kind of like what...
I can't see Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Batman.
And even though I think that would be a good...
Why is he breaking the rules, though? I mean, the debate's over. Why is he breaking the rules?
Okay.
Well, since he was giving his losing speech, or his speech to him losing.
So I guess like final statements, if you want to...
You said he called it. You said
yeah,
he was calling it.
if we have one more chance to sway you...
No, we're done.
Are we...
Well, okay, if you had a final
You didn't say
argument,
we couldn't say anything else after you could. Is that what calling it means?
Quit whining, Red Hood.
That is a good point.
I'll take that as a
Nice
compliment.
scars.
But okay, but yeah, I called it, so final arguments. Although I'll give you the chance to rebuttal against that, though, if you wish.
Nah, I'll let him be the baby he is.
All right.
I did have one more thing I could say.
Feel free to rebuttal.
All right. You said it doesn't feel like it would fit in the DC universe, but taking Marvel for example, they're so varied. I mean, you have Guardians of the Galaxy and Daredevil taking place in the same universe, and I think that's what DC needs, is to just shake it up a little bit from this like kind of dull toned, angry, brooding people just standing around in the shadows.
I do agree. But I still feel like it's more between these two, and even though I do like Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Nightwing, Dick Grayson, and Christopher Nolan as the director, they did kind of bring up a good point, as it wouldn't really... It would confuse the audience, even though more or less the audience probably wouldn't care. And even though I didn't want Dave to win, I'm going to have to give it to Dave.
Fun fact, I just winged this whole thing when we started and made it this far. So
he did do good.
I win in that sense.
Yeah,
I didn't even have Joseph Gordon as my guy. Once you brought him up, I went with it the rest of the time.
I kind of got that feeling.
Yeah.
But because here's the thing.
Two-time champion.
Here's the thing. Nightwing would probably happen first as a movie.
Yeah.
But again.
Oh yeah. Once they did the Batman thing, I knew I was over.
Since this was.
Because I had no time to think about
based
it.
on argument.
I was doing it at the time.
Since this was based on argument, I guess Red Hood and the Outlaws does have a bit more versatility to it, because it would have both the comedic elements and the action
and emo.
Not emo.
Yes.
Just
hey, you gotta bring in that audience too.
But
everyone bring their razors.
You can't throw away you can't just throw away a demographic.
But do you really want
free shit razors for
away
everyone?
Jewish people.
Okay,
Red Hood accepts the Jews.
Yeah, that's just the thing.
The
arguments against mine didn't exist.
The arguments are done.
They should be disqualified.
There were no arguments against mine.
Whatever, I won.
Yeah, I did want to. I kind of wanted to give it to Jordan, Because
Out of pity?
Because I never win because I suck.
well, no, more so because
Who's emo now?
because realistically, Nightwing would come
You
first.
convince me.
But you know, you did bring it the better argument. So Dave wins. He's the 2-time winner. Hopefully, you'll enjoyed this, and feel free to keep commenting and give us ideas for more debates.
Hope you and your boyfriend enjoy a wonderful night together.
Thank you.
Hashtag Reverend Space Ghost.
Yeah. But thanks for tuning in this much, and hopefully you'll enjoy this debate. And feel free to like, comment, subscribe.
Fellow YouTuber Matastrophic is behind my pitch.
Woohoo!
Fantastic. Feel
No
free
one
to
cares.
defend Reverend Spaceman, and
Yeah.
Or don't.
No,
Yeah,
we
you
need
know,
this
just
verdict
Praise
changed.
me, for I have won.
just leave comments on who
Nick
you
Cage
agreed
is
with,
Snowflame.
or who you disagreed with, and your other pitches, and we can do more of these. So until next time, everyone, cheers.